Okay, Keith, besides touring now in South America and starting pretty soon with your American leg of this tour, what is Emerson, Lake and Palmer doing now in terms of music? Are you recording, composing? What is your activity nowadays?
Well, obviously, when you're on the road and you're touring, there aren't many opportunities to write music. Prior to coming out on tour, I was writing a lot of ideas on manuscript paper and just playing around with them. I've shared some ideas and thoughts with Greg Lake, and he himself individually has come up with certain narratives, like words that could be used, and together we've kind of developed, we've got a pattern of things that we'd like to do. There is a kind of a concept album in the making. If
you will live the concept of in the hot sea with songs with 4 minutes.
In the hot seat and Black Moon, I think we kind of deserted the progressive camp when we did that, mainly because we were very much influenced by the record company and by the producer that we had to go that route, to go the route of the 3-minute single. And although our contemporaries such as Genesis and Yes have tried that route and been very successful with it, it doesn't really suit ELP. So we tried it. I mean, we've in our 27 years of being together, we've made good albums, some better than others, and Love Beach was an attempt to get radio playable material. But I don't know, when you listen back to those albums, they're good, they work, they're very good. And who knows, maybe even Hot Seat might sound good, but it's certainly not for us in the future. We want to go back to the original roots.
You mentioned favorite albums or better albums. Which are your personal choices? Looking back throughout the ELP discography.
I like them all really for different reasons. A lot of people would refer to Brain Salad Surgery as being the pinnacle of ELP's creativity. It's a dynamic album, but in no lesser manner than Works Volume 1 or Pictures at an Exhibition or Trilogy or the first album. They've all got difference in them, really.
What were you imagining when you started at the Isle of Wight, playing as a trio? At that time, were you planning to stay together for 27 years, as you have been together?
I remember we were asked this question in one of our very early interviews, and I just said, well, how long is a piece of string? You don't know. It's great. We've obviously we wanted to take it through to its full potential, but we had no idea that it would go on as long as it did, really. But it's gone on as long as it did, mainly because we've allowed each other to diversify and do certain things outside of the ELP arena.
Before going on with the ELP history and your personal history and musical history, what can you tell us about that group that would have been with Jimi Hendrix and Mitch Mitchell, together with Greg Lake?
Well, I toured with Jimmy in 68, and I had the opportunity to jam with him on a number of occasions. I don't know. I don't think I'd have become the player that I have become if I'd have been involved with him. He was so dynamic, and in a certain way, I wanted to be dynamic as well, and I don't think there would have been enough room on stage for both of us. You know, I'd have welcomed the opportunity to have made an album with him. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if he was around today, that would be a lovely idea.
Yeah.
But,
I can imagine, yeah. You with the keyboards and two virtuosos.
yes, yeah.
Do you realize that you are a virtuoso, that you're one of a kind keyboard player? It is hard to live with that kind of thing because
well, I'm amazed that that you say that. I'm amazed that there aren't that any others. You know, it's.
What do you recommend in order to reach that point? Because you have a lot of study too, beside a lot of exercise and rehearsal, no? Playing keyboards and doing your show on the stage.
I honestly don't know. I don't really stop to analyse it. I don't stop to think about it. But it's very flattering when people say, you know, that and that. But I don't really pay a lot of attention to it because I'm still working at my art. You know, there's still things that I have to strive at and practice at on a daily basis. You know.
Do you sit down and play and try to compose? Do you have a schedule per day, or whenever you're inspired, you play the black and white keys, and that will be it?
I don't work on a regular routine. I work when the inspiration takes me, and it can be at very odd hours. It can be first thing in the morning, any time of the day, really. And I seize that moment and I run to the keyboard and I play the idea and I write it down and you know, see what comes of it, really.
What about the classical music? It's a very big influence. Actually, you flatter us playing Alberto Ginastera, and yesterday in the show you play in the fanfare for the common man, Carmina Urana in the middle, and all this kind of favorite, classical favorites.
Yeah, well, they are classical favorites, and it's been very rewarding for me to have got the appreciation and from the composers involved, such as Ginastera and Copland, and even Bernstein, for that matter.
What happened with that story about Bernstein and the prohibition of your version with the knives of America in the States?
Oh boy. Well, I did hear something when we first released the version of America in England. That word had come back. Leonard Bernstein wanted the record banned. It stopped. But we went ahead and released it, and we heard nothing more. But when I later met him, sometime around about 1972, I think it was, and he had no. He obviously didn't bring the subject up. He was very interested in listening to my piano concerto, which he did, and. But there's a very funny story attached to that, which when you read my autobiography, you'll find out what it is. It's too long to tell here.
Yeah, really? Too long?
Yeah.
Can you what the Bernstein thing? You told me that you were a runner. It's very important to keep a physical shape on a stage, because besides being a keyboard virtuoso, it is very hard to do what you do on a stage. How many hours do you exercise or practice or run?
Well, I've done 4 marathons in my past, and I sort of jog now, about 6 miles, not every day, but I find that doing the concerts are enough exercise, really.
Keith, to round out this interview, which is the music, if you listen to some other groups, which is the music that really impress you nowadays in a rock and roll or pop scene?
I haven't had a chance to listen to many of them. I mean, there might be an occasion when the radio's on and I think, oh, that's pretty good, I like that one. You know? But
I have some names?
I really can't think of any. I like Oasis's first album, or the second one, whatever it was. my eldest son, actually, he's 27, and he suggests me to listen to certain things, like, Dad, you should listen to this. So I go, But in most cases, a lot of them are very derivative of bands which I've known, like a new Led Zeppelin or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the future of progressive rock, if we can call it progressive rock or classical rock or symphonic rock?
I think it's got a great future, as long as the bands concerned are stubborn enough and dogmatic enough to persevere their art. And because I think there's a great crossover happening now between classical music and rock musicians. Mm-hmm. You see an awful lot, particularly with Pavarotti performing with Sting or
Elton John, Eric Clapton,
U2, is it?
Bono, yeah.
Yeah. Who's the lead singer of that band? What's his name?
Bono.
Bono, yeah.
Bono, yeah.
Bono, yeah. Yeah, well, you see that crossover thing happening an awful lot, and I think that the classical genre is in a bit of disarray at the moment, because how many times can you keep playing Beethoven symphonies, you know? And with having CDs, you can't. You get one cycle of Beethoven symphonies on CD, and they'll last you a lifetime, you know. So it's no real point in re-recording them. I think the classical orchestra is looking for contemporary music, new contemporary music. I think that John Williams, the conductor with the Boston Pops Orchestra, did a great improvement for the orchestra, whereby he would intersperse his classical programs with music from Star Wars or Raiders of the Lost Ark, or I don't know. And you see a lot of orchestras now, they do the symphonic Rolling Stones or the symphonic Sting, and that really, and some of them are very great arrangements. But I think rather than arrange what the Rolling Stones or Sting for the orchestra, what about creating a new piece? And this is something I'd like to get involved in the future.
What about your music for movies? That is one of the things you have been doing as a solo artist.
Yeah, I've done that, and I would welcome doing it again, as long as the movie is the right movie.
You pay attention on the argument of the movie for starting
yes,
composing?
Because it's really it's not an easy job. You are a music worker. You are there to write for these people, and it has to be passed through so many channels before it's even accepted. And at the end of the day, sometimes you've gone to great lengths to compose and write, and when you see the finished result, the movie, you can't hear your music sometimes, and that's a little bit frustrating after all the work that goes into it.
I can imagine. The last one, Keith. I would like to have 3 definitions about Greg Lake. Your definition about Greg Lake.
Boy, very thorough artist. On all numbers, really. He's got a sort of a for a front man, for the singer, he's got that. That what do you call it? Grandiose sort of nature, which works very well, and sometimes works very badly. But, you can ask him what he thinks about me later if he's
I will, if I have a possibility. Carl Harper.
Carl, well, he's kind of the mainstay of the band. He's got an incredible sense of humour, which I love, and he's kind of the referee. He's the balance in the band. You know, I can be very serious, and so can Greg. But in the middle, you've got Carl, who's like very jovial, and sorts things out and makes everything okay at the end of the day, you know. So.
And Keith Emerson.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh boy, I don't know. I've got certain serious aspects, but underneath it all, I think that humour is very important. You know, would hope that I hate saying this, all the road crew are listening to me. Yeah, they've all gone very quiet. Anyway, I don't want to talk anymore about myself.
Thanks a lot for this interview.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, bye.